You can be successful and smart and have all the right things going for you and still be emotionally immature in relationships. Today we are talking about emotional intelligence, what it is, what it does to your relationship, how it affects communication and conflict, and just having a healthy, stable relationship. Welcome back to the next episode of Team Whittaker. I'm Barbara Whittaker.
I'm Huey Whittaker. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about EQ, aka emotional intelligence, and how it fits into the household and the marriage and relationships, and it really it should fit into your whole picture, because these days there is a lot of offense to be had, and so a lot of people do navigate differently, speak differently, try to avoid certain words and terms and things just to make sure that they don't offend anyone. Which is, hey, it's part of life. I think at this point for a lot of people, some people don't really care, and then there's some people that don't realize that they do that, which is again part of what we're going to be talking about.
So before we decided to move forward with this episode, Huey asked me if I had ever done a DISC assessment. DISC assessments, there's a bunch of different assessments out there that really gauge what type of personality you are, what type of person you are, how you operate.
Communication styles.
And we always talk about how different we are. And the DISC assessment, especially in the business world, helps you understand your team and vice versa, how to interact with one another, how to collaborate, how to speak to one another, how you're going to receive information and give information based off of the type of communicator that you are.
Yeah, because you don't always get to pick that team that you're put with or hired into. Right?
Yeah, and so emotional intelligence is using that information so that you can work better with those that are on your team or that you communicate with. And that's the same holds true for a marriage. We always talk about how we run our household kind of like a business. And so that piece of understanding how each of us communicate is very important. We're still learning how to communicate with each other, because even though you figure something out, each person is changing and growing over time based on the dynamics of the family, what's happening in the business world. And you have to constantly adapt to the changes that partner has.
Yeah, I mean, and then really in any relationship, especially in a marriage, EQ comes into effect and has a huge effect to how you balance communication. I mean, in our examples, we have times in which she'll say something to me or I'll say something to her, and the response will determine everything. How you receive it will really determine how you respond. And sometimes, again, if you're not in a place where you can bring that emotional intelligence, or understand maybe that person had a longer day and you're going to be delicate in your response, or maybe a non-response, or making sure that you do respond because of feedback and communication that was given to you before. I always err on the side of over-communicating, but I think the facts are that all men are going to err. So we're going to err either way. So just be comfortable with erring and being okay with it, and just figuring out how to be better and grow better, and to grow into what you're ultimately hoping to keep the communication fluid and active, to where it's not detrimental and it doesn't turn into like a bad scene, bad situation.
It should never be detrimental. It should never be detrimental if the common goal is clear. One of the things that Huey mentioned also before we started filming was, responding versus reacting. Taking that time to really pause. I think that's like a key in communication, a lot of people, and I'm not exempt, listen to respond versus listen to receive and determine whether or not it's even a time to respond or not respond. So there's so many micro actions that are happening in communication when it is taking place, and your brain trying to analyze all of those things that are happening all at once. That's why emotional intelligence is important. Like, what factors are you using before you respond and or react? And for me, I have to process. And so my response may be a little slower and not as fluid as Huey's may be, because he's very fast in his response and can process quicker. So that's something that you have to know about your partner when receiving communication from them.
Yeah, I mean, emotional intelligence, again, aka EQ, is a combination of things that all need to be brought into one: self-awareness, self-regulation, compassion,
Empathy.
Awareness, empathy. And so when you respond, you're adding those things as you think through your response to make sure that it lines up with those key points of what it is. When you react, it's emotion based. And so you're just saying whatever it is that you feel, even if, or what you think you feel, or what you want to feel, or how you want the other person to feel, but it's emotion based. So there's definitely a big difference there. And we talked about it earlier too, some relationships involve one side, and well, let me say it this way. If somebody says something to Barbara and that might not sit right, twofold. I feel like I'm the only person that can say those types of things to her. But also, why is it okay for me to say that to her if I heard it from kind of the opposite side of things and didn't like it, right? So because we've said that, a lot of people said, that's my sibling, or that's my husband, or that's my child. I don't want anybody talking to them like that. But it's okay for you to do it, right? And so I think twofold, right? Yeah. First of all, it's okay for you to not like how somebody, but then why is it okay for you to turn around and basically do the same thing, but to that same exact person? So I think that right there is an example of where you can start improving on thinking through and responding as opposed to reacting to whatever the situation or circumstance.
So what are some keys to good communication practices or to elevating one's emotional IQ? What's one thing or two things you would say?
Yeah, but I think there needs to be time sometimes that needs to be added before there's a response given, because you need to be able to think through what it is that you're going to be responding with. And I think it's also okay to say, give me a minute, I want to think that through. I want to make sure I respond appropriately. Or I want to give you the best response or best answer. Yeah. And then respond, or taking the time to then respond. I think that is appreciated.
Yeah, I would say compassion, considering where the other person that you're communicating with is coming from. And I'll speak to it from a business standpoint. When I am talking to someone on my team and they come in and they're expressing something to me, I am trying to have compassion for what it is that's maybe on the desk already. Like, what are they doing that got them to this point that, maybe they need help with, or maybe they need assistance with, or maybe they can't process themselves. And then that will maybe give some indication on why they are in that particular state of mind. And then I think the compassion piece is big. I always talk about it. I'm big on that, because you never really know what people are going through. And I think that the same holds true with in a marriage. You don't always know what they're experiencing in the office. And so when they come home, that is very helpful to say, okay, they had, they got a lot going on. It's give them a minute to find themselves. And that's something we actually talked about on both sides in our marriage before.
Yeah, I mean, being aware is important, especially with your surroundings, whether it's, spouse, or it's in the workplace with a new team member. You have to be aware to how you are receiving and diagnosing how the best way to communicate with them would be. But you also, and also their personality and some of the traits. But you also need to just ask sometimes.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, you know what? I know you're new here, been here for a little bit. what's the best, like, what's the ways you like to communicate? Are you an email person? Are you a quick,
Text
Teams
me,
person?
email me,
Like
message me.
what's the best way? And you get the answer, and then you move accordingly. And again, like if you're, because how you communicate, like I'm a, like in the DISC assessment, like I'm a person that's basically assertive, dominant, like task oriented. Like I go, I think I'm built with compassion and all that, but I also maybe in one of those little things, deceptive. Maybe deception is also there too. Maybe I'm deceived. I don't know. I only know from my perspective. But like maybe Barbara's on the, on the side that everything that I am comes across like totally aggressive to her. And so I need to be aware of how I speak, because if I just keep talking, she's never going to get a word in. And we had that on one of my, on the leadership team that I was on for a year. And there was a gentleman, I'm not going to say his name, and he was the soft-spoken one. And he would never, I know who I am. And we had more than me that were on the kind of dominant side. And, but it wasn't bad. It's just we were getting a point, we were getting things done. But a lot of times we didn't let him in.
Yeah.
So I took it because another part of me was like, I'm collaborative. I always would part and make a way and ask for his input in front of everybody. And then we all pause and he would input and have great ideas. Mm-hmm. But he just didn't, it's like that person that like talks the least, has the most really to add, right? And so it wasn't that he didn't have a lot of great input. It's just that he never really always got the chance to like jump in there, and that wasn't his personality. And he knew it, and he was okay with it. Mm-hmm. And he knew who he was, and but us, we also knew who he was, which was important. So we were always able to get him in and get the feedback. That helped us a lot. And so in a marriage, it has to be very similar, because you're going to be getting to know this person year after year after year. Yeah, communication, is going to be key in the beginning, and hopefully you know them well enough before you marry them. Yeah. But like people change, their surroundings change. Like things are always changing in your life. So as those things change, you need to adapt and move sometimes in a different way to make sure that you're not like leaving things behind, or being or ignoring something, or being turning a blind eye to something that really is important for your spouse or whoever partner.
Yeah. And I will end by saying nobody is perfect. There should be some leeway between each partner, each spouse, when one gets it wrong. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. Even in other relationships, there's miscommunication happens. You lose a few points on your emotional intelligence, and you react instead of responding. So keep that in mind when you're interacting with other people, that they don't always get it right, and maybe you just caught them at that time that they got it wrong. And that kind of goes back to the compassion piece as well. But do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think that people should understand. Like people need to understand in general, and if there's nothing else, in my opinion, that you get from listening to this, like go spread this like wildfire, like to people that you engage with, that like emotions and let me say it this way, emotional intelligence and being in tune with like your emotions is not really a weak thing at all on any front, male or female. That just means you're in tune with your environment and what's going on. Correct. And then you're just making like the adjustment necessary to fix and fit pieces together. But I do think that, I know when I first heard the term EQ, and it was years ago, and I know there's like this whole, it's been a movement for years, and we've been in seminars, all kinds of stuff. I just wasn't aware, like, what does that mean? And like, okay, bedside manner, basically, like how, and it makes a difference. When you have a doctor, I don't know if you have kids before, you've been, had a procedure or whatever, that doctor, you either remember them for being like really supportive and helpful, or like, man, that doctor was like such a butthead. Like, and I remember the doctor that was like, who is this guy? Like, I didn't even want him in the room. Yeah. Because his bedside manner was terrible. And I think some people have that in business too. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But then also that person can come along and they're so pleasant. Like, man, such a good person. Yeah. It's just such a good, who is this? Like, such a good person. They like make that much of an impact on you. And so again, it's not about weakness or like submission. Again, I know there's movements out there that like, there should be no submission, and one side is just as strong as the other and all that. All I got to say is, pray on that, because at the end of the day, like, we're all built to be strong. Nobody's testing whether you're strong or not, but like, you have a marriage, like, just make it the best that you could possibly make it, because tomorrow's not promised. You should live for today and do what you can to make it the best day possible. So
Is that it?
yeah, I think.
So until next time, start strong, grow bold, be fruitful.